And even though we know nothing of living on a reservation, the
Right.
stories and themes are universal. That's where you
Exactly.
connect with the
Right.
characters. You don't have to be black or native to watch Insecure or Reservation Dogs and see
Exactly.
yourself in Issa or
Exactly.
Bear. If you're hearing this, we thank you for listening to another episode of It's a Super Life podcast with Brandon and Lorin. This week we'll be discussing the 2024 Emmys, which occurred Sunday. We'll also get into some of the series we've been watching and what we want to watch next. But first, how was your weekend?
Pretty good. It was warmer than I wanted it to be, but we celebrated my sister's birthday, which actually happened the week before, but my mother was out of town, so yeah, we just went out to eat with a few family members, and that's pretty much it. But yeah, it was good.
Awesome. I had a good weekend as well. It was hot, and
Yes.
it's hot again. I don't
Yeah.
understand how we had that nice sort of like fall day and then it just jumped back
Right. The
to the
summer.
depths of summer. Yeah, it's very strange. But yeah, and this week is going pretty well as well. So, without further ado, let's get to our first topic. Before we dive into the 24 Emmys, we have to talk about the bad boy in the room. So today it was announced that, well, yesterday,
Yeah. It's like last
um,
night. Yeah.
yeah, last night, what's today? Tuesday?
Tuesday.
Whew. So yesterday evening, it was announced that Sean Combs, um, was arrested in Manhattan. And this is stemming from allegations of everything from sexual assault to domestic violence and whatnot that came out in Cassie's lawsuit last year, which Sean immediately settled, which kind of gave a signal of that he was guilty for the alleged crime she was accusing him of. And then today, after the arrest, he was set in court to appear for the official charge which we received as the indictment was made public. He is being charged with sex trafficking, federal racketeering charges, as well as, I believe, prostitution.
Yeah.
Um, and the 14-page document filed in federal court on September 12th. Combs turned his they allege that he turned his multifaceted business empire into a criminal enterprise. So they basically think he built up Bad Boy for the sole purpose of trafficking uh, sex victims. Some of them may have been minors in his illicit sex rings.
It's
All over
crazy.
the country, from his home in Miami, his home in LA, for years. They when they raided his homes, they found multiple AR-15s, large capacity magazines, ammunition, as well as evidence of crimes that were in the indictment, and over 1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant.
Yeah. I saw the baby oil and I was like, what? Like this where how do you get 1,000 bottles?
Like I said, he must have purchased that during COVID when everyone was
Yeah.
stocking up on products.
Yeah.
Um, So he was hoping to get on bail, which was set at $50 million, and the bail included his mother's home, his Miami home, and his children's passports as collateral. Just some of the items he was willing to sacrifice for bail, but the judge denied his bail, and he will be in jail until his trial begins for sex trafficking.
Wow. Yeah, it's just
He,
a crazy story.
yeah, indeed. He of course pleaded not guilty. And his lawyer tried to say that a lot of these crimes are false. He even tried to paint Cassie as a cheating lover as she developed a relationship with her trainer while she was with Diddy, allegedly, and had these two babies on him. They also tried to dismiss Don Richards' lawsuit
Yeah.
and accusations of her witnessing said abuse and being alleged victim herself. It's just a lot of the same behavior we've seen in past from other convicted felons, including Robert Kelly.
Yeah.
They also said that they have 30 witnesses corroborating
Damn.
um, instances of his alleged freak offs where these parties where the alleged victims were drugged and forced or coerced to have sex with male prostitutes, escort, sex workers, while he either participated and watched. He also recorded these instances. So there's actually cloud storage of said recordings, which, why would you keep those things? But we only know why the demented mind would do that.
Yeah, once it's in the cloud, man, it's a wrap.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. It's not really surprising, but it's a lot.
Yeah. It just, again, displays the amount of power and fear he was able to collect these past 2 years, from artists, from colleagues, from victims, to keep people quiet. Dawn Richard alleges that she witnessed said abuse on Cassie, and that not only she witnesses, but other famous artists also were in the room when he allegedly kicked her at a dinner table. So,
and that's the crazy thing, is when all this comes down, there's got to be more than just him. Like, people were around, people knew all these years. So,
yeah. And that's a very, very fine line, because people knew, but also if they knew, what could they have done? If he had massed this much power over these individuals, threatening their careers, threatening, editors of magazines.
Yeah.
He's being charged with arson for exploding Kid Cudi's car, for dating Cassie.
Yeah.
After one of their, I guess, breakups. Like, he was a terrorist.
Yeah, he's insane.
So, like, allegedly, the other artists at the table during this alleged attack that Dawn allegedly witnessed were Neo and Usher. We know, for starters, Usher was introduced to Sean at a very young age, and eventually departed that partnership because of alleged abuse and grooming he inflicted on a teenage Usher. So to be in that orbit, I don't know what anyone would do.
That's true, yeah.
Like, we can say we would take the high road and want to stand up for a victim, but
in that moment,
like, especially if your livelihood is in his hands, what would you do? Yeah. It's sad all around.
Yeah, it's insane.
So we will. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, when everything went down, I think it was March, I was like, oh, this is bad, but I'm not sure I really expected what came out over the last maybe 16, 18 hours. Like, I didn't think it would be like that, but wow.
It's very bad. And they said the investigation is ongoing. This is not the end. So more is to come. And I'm sure there'll be more names listed as co-conspirators or enablers. And I'm sure many will come forward with information to relieve themselves of any severe punishment.
Yeah, probably.
Unfortunately. So.
Wow.
More to come on that. I'm not sure they set a date for the trial, but until then, Sean Combs will be in jail.
Yeah.
Now that is out of the way, we will go ahead and get to our feature presentation, the 2024 Emmys. So this past Sunday, the 76th Annual Emmys were held at the Peacock Theater in Los Angeles, live on ABC. I did not know the major networks actually rotate that award like every year. So next year may be on NBC, and then back on Fox, and back on ABC. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, neither did I. I just never paid attention to that.
Yeah. So the event went on pretty swimmingly. There wasn't any major technical difficulties as we have seen in the past. No sort of production blunders. But it went pretty well, and I believe they saw an increase in viewership for this year as well.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. So before the Emmys, there's always the Creative Arts Emmys, which awards more of the technical awards and sort of background awards that don't get shine at the primetime ceremony. So some of those awards went to Alan Cumming for Best Reality Host. He actually won over RuPaul, who had won 8 years in a row for RuPaul's Drag Race.
Oh, wow.
So he won for The Traitors, which has become like this reality phenomenon.
huge. I've seen some of it. Yeah, it is. Everybody absolutely loves it. Yeah,
Right. Pat Sajak actually won his first Emmy for hosting Wheel
that's
of
hard to believe.
Fortune. Yeah, exactly. For hosting for Wheel of Fortune for his final season. Blue Eye Samurai won for Best Animated Program, beating out
Okay.
X-Men 97, which was sort of like a front runner.
Yeah.
And Angela Bassett won her first Emmy for narrating Queens on National Geographic, and this
Yeah.
was her first win after 9 nominations.
Wow.
And Shogun actually racked up 14 Emmys that
Nice.
night, breaking the record that was previously held by Game of Thrones for the most Emmys won by a show in a single season.
Wow.
So as I mentioned, the overall production was really well. There weren't many mishaps or blunt plunders. Only thing were there were some mic issues,
Yeah.
and that was because they just got the mic up late. So
Right. Right.
if it's not at optimal height, you don't hear what the person's saying, and
Right.
that only happened twice. Eugene and Dan Levy hosted, and they were, I mean, the father and son who have experience in improv, they were basically perfect all night.
Yeah. No, I did not watch it live, but I recorded it, and so I was able to go back and watch some of it. And yeah, you're right. They obviously they're family, but yeah, they do work well together, which isn't always the case with hosts. But
Right, especially when they do the two
right.
duo thing.
So yeah, their humor is obviously similar, but no, it was good.
Some of the winning moments, I thought all of the tributes to the TV characters weren't really well.
Yeah.
They tributed TV dads, TV moms, lawyers and cops, and doctors. And it was nice seeing, these random actors who have played these characters sort of meet
Right.
together. They also had some mini show reunions. They had Ron Howard and Henry Winkler reunite for Happy Days.
Yeah.
I think it was like the 50th anniversary of that show or something like that.
Something. Yeah.
They had the West Wing cast reunite to present Best Drama Series, so that was cool. And then just seeing some old faces we hadn't seen in a while. It was just really nice to sort of reflect on these TV characters. It was similar to what they did with the 75th anniversary, highlighting iconic shows. So hopefully they can continue this in a certain way, maybe highlight writers and
Yeah.
makeup artists and things of that nature from the years, so we know the people behind the scenes more often.
Right. Yeah. Like sound effects and stuff like that would be really cool to see.
Yeah, definitely. I thought all the acceptance speeches were pretty well, especially when they got
Yes.
political. There wasn't anything too extreme or cringy, I'd say.
But there was a lot of seriousness behind it. You could tell people were
Right,
like, okay, we can't screw around. Like,
exactly.
let's do what we got to do.
Yeah, some of my favorite moments, Candice Bergen, of course,
Yeah.
referenced her episode of Murphy Brown where her character decides to keep a child as a single woman. And at that time, that was, I guess, unheard
Heard
of,
of. Yeah. I imagine
especially on
so.
TV. And she actually the show got pushed back from Vice President Dan Quayle at the time.
Wow.
So it lined up perfectly with, the threat to reproductive rights this year in this year's election.
Yeah.
And then I also really enjoyed Richard Gadd's acceptance speeches. They were very motivational.
Yeah.
And even his speech about, these networks taking risks and letting creators tell their story without fear of being canceled after one season.
Right.
Because you wouldn't have this success with this show if you didn't greenlight it. So that was nice. I also enjoyed John Leguizamo's, sort of advocacy for more diversity.
Yeah. I was just about to say that. Yeah, I thought that was a really good part too.
Yeah. Of course, he sort of highlighted the current sort of attack on DEI practices and kind of advocated for like Latino performers and creatives and highlighted those that were nominated that night. So that was a winning moment. And he introduced the president of the TV Academy, who happens to be a Latino, Chris Abrego. So that
Yeah.
was a cool transition. I couldn't really think of any losing moments.
Not really losing, but I think well, you were over here the other day, and the thing we talked about was the weird. I can think of two. I can think of the whole thing with Billy Crystal, just kind of that was really awkward. Him taking his time up there, and that, and then like we said, the product placement and all that type of
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
that was odd.
Billy is great, but it did kind of become like his stand-up show and just kind
Yeah,
of got a
it's
little
like
long-winded.
right.
But yeah, the Johnny Walker thing was very awkward
Yeah, it was strange. It was just like no.
because it it felt like they were flirting, but then they weren't, and then they
Yeah,
just sort of walked out on stage. And plus, that was one of those mic things where the mic didn't come up in time.
right, right,
That whole thing was like are we in the Twilight Zone? Like, it was very strange.
right. So probably not going to see that again. Yeah,
Right, right. I would say another sour moment was just the sad reality that the bear is in the comedy
right.
section.
Yeah,
And while the performances are great, people love the show. Um, it's just not a comedy, and that's fine. Put it in the drama
no,
section. It could
not at
still
all.
win. Because honestly, the drama competition, if Shogun hadn't maneuvered from limited series to drama, they would have beat Gilded Age and The Crown,
Right,
Mr. and Mrs. Smith Fall Out, Three Body Problem. Like, they would have been a shoe in. So I don't get
right.
it. Um,
And then,
and also,
oh, go ahead.
Io Io Edebiri not winning Best Actress in a Comedy when all her counterpoints won is a little
Yeah,
suspicious to me.
yeah, that's bad too. And then another part that was kind of upsetting, especially if you were a fan of the show, but this means that over the seasons of Reservation Dogs, they never won an Emmy, which is kind of like, damn,
Yeah,
you know, as good as that show was, but hopefully, it's one of those shows that people will latch onto and seek out and watch it and be like, oh, this show is so good now, and why didn't we see it more of it, and that type of thing
exactly.
happens because it
Yeah.
was very good.
Yeah, they got all their nominations this final season,
Yeah,
including nominated for Best Comedy and then nominated for Best Comedy Actor for DeFaro, um, uh, Unatai.
was when I tell yeah, it
Yeah,
was crazy, and this is all subjective. The fourth season was good, but to me, they should have just been racking up in the third season. I thought the third season was incredible. Just one
yeah,
of the best seasons, one of the best shows on television that year. Just flawless from beginning to end.
yeah. It's a perfect series.
Yeah,
And because, I don't know, the timing, I guess, because
yeah,
streaming was still sort of an outlier,
yeah,
and then you're a Nate telling native stories. There was no,
yeah.
I don't know. It's just very odd.
And like I said, there's still so much work to be done on drawing people's attention to different types of stories of different groups of people. I mean, it. I don't know. I love it because I just love learning about new people. I love learning about new things, and
Hmm.
so I don't know. I don't
And
know.
and even though we know nothing of living on a reservation, the
Right?
stories and themes are universal. That's where you
Exactly.
connect with the
Right.
characters. You don't have to be black or native to watch Insecure or Reservation Dogs and see
Exactly.
yourself in
And
Issa or
exactly.
Bear. Like,
Yeah.
I
So
don't understand.
no,
But yeah.
I don't either.
So let's get into some of the winners. We won't go too far into it. We'll just cover some of the majors. In limited series, I believe Baby Reindeer kind of swept.
Yeah.
Um, they got Best Supporting Actress, um, Best Lead Actor, Best Limited Series, and then surprisingly, Lamorne Morris won Best Supporting Actor for Fargo.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
that was another winning moment because he's been in the industry for a while, always known for his comedic chops, and doing this drama bit. He was actually recognized, and it was good to see him win.
What's crazy? This is the only season of Fargo I've not watched. Like I've watched all the other ones, and for some reason I just
Mm.
did not watch this one.
People said it was great. They said
Yeah,
Tempo was excellent. They said John Hamm was excellent. So
I have to go back and check it out.
Over in comedy series, you have The Bear getting lead actor for Jeremy Allen White,
Yeah.
supporting actor for Ibn Moss Bacharach, and then for a first for Liza Colon Zayas for Best Supporting Actress. And she actually is the first Latina woman to win that award
Oh,
in 76 years. So,
that's crazy. And like I said the other day when you were here, it's crazy that we're still having first. You know what I mean? So
exactly.
like 76
Exactly.
years, 76 years is a long time.
Mm-hmm. Oh, also in limited series, Jodie Foster won Best Lead Actress
Yeah.
for True Detective.
Yeah, I saw that.
And then and we're still in comedy. Lead actress Ayo lost to Jean Smart, but
Yeah.
you can't you can't be upset with that. Jean is
No.
excellent in Hacks. She's a legend, and it was most deserved. And then I think in the biggest upset of the night, Hacks won Best Comedy, which everyone
Oh,
thought was
really?
going to go to The Bear. So that was great to hear. Their acceptance speech was wonderful, and people genuinely cheered and were happy for them to win.
Right.
Um, because of the Bear and Hacks, I guess competition, Abbott went home with nothing. Um, as one of the sole network shows nominated still.
Hmm.
And then on the drama side, Shogun racked up 4 more awards, I think, this evening. They won Best Directing for a Drama Series. What was the other one? Oh, Best Lead Actor for Hiroyuki Sanada. Best Lead Actress for Anasawa. And those two are the first Japanese actors to win Lead Actor and Actress in a drama series in 76 years. And then Shogun went ahead and won Best Drama,
Yeah.
which was expected. It was the front runner.
Right.
And to the white man for The Guardian, who decided to write that although Shogun was good, its sweeping needs to be addressed, felt sort of undeserved.
Like, come on, man.
Stop.
Yeah.
It wasn't an upset. It wasn't a surprise.
I think
It,
anybody that watched TV this year expected it. Like you said, like it was not unexpected at all.
right.
Um, from the acting, the setting, the costume, all of it was just many steps above anything else on TV this year.
Right. People are calling the best series in
Yeah.
years.
Right.
So I don't understand the conversations around it winning. Well, I do understand, but it's just ridiculous. Um, and this year, FX came out on top with the most nominations and wins between The Bear and Shogun. They both broke records for nomination and wins for a comedy and drama. And HBO left, I think, in fourth place with 14 wins overall. It went FX, um, Netflix was second. I think Apple TV was third, and then fourth was HBO Max, HBO
Yeah.
slash Max, with 14 wins, and that's their least number of wins since like 1994.
Wow. And I think a lot of it comes down to FX. Everything they do is usually really good, and everybody has access to FX for the most part. Also, they just let the story be told. You know, they don't really censor themselves. Neither does
Right.
Netflix or HBO, but um, I don't know. The stories there seem much more
Yeah.
like, yeah,
Yeah. Their CEO has always been known to sort of highlight sort of the outlier stories and let
yes,
creators
yes,
actually tell the story they want to create. Um, HBO is lovely. They are sort of the standard ever since The
right,
Sopranos. And just in this current landscape, they're struggling to find their footing after COVID, the strike as well. A lot of their shows just didn't come out on time. They had to delay
yeah,
them. So I'm sure they'll be back next year with The Last of Us season 2.
yeah, for sure.
House of the Dragon season 2 will be eligible for nominations. You'll have Industry, which is rising this year. So they will be back. It's just very interesting to finally see FX sort of rise in the tide. And that's mostly due to letting creators be free to do what they want to
What
do.
they want, right? You can't
Yeah,
be upset about that.
exactly. So the next award show will be the Golden Globes, which is always sort of funky with what they
Yeah.
decide. And then we're basically full blown into film season. So soon we'll be talking about the Oscars and whatnot as the next award show. I believe the next Emmys will be around this time next year. So
Next year. Yeah.
we'll see what happens then. See if they make a new category for the Bear or not. Whatever.
Right.
And now we'll go ahead and get into our streams of the week. All right. So this week I actually watched some movies. Can you believe it? I'm getting a little better at it because I was just, instead of scrolling on my phone, I was like, well, I could literally be watching something.
Right.
This past week I watched Civil War. It came to HBO Max, or came to Max. And it was all right. I definitely see why people were somewhat disappointed with the final product. I thought the trailer was very provocative and drew you in, but the film itself to me just felt a little
Just flat.
Flat. Yeah.
Yeah.
The performances weren't really that great. And I know it was supposed to be about, the press's examination of a civil war, this unrest.
Right.
But I didn't feel like we got much of that perspective. They're just photojournalists, so
yeah. Huh.
I don't know. And maybe in a way, the film was supposed to sort of portray our sort of desensitized. I can't even say the word. The way we are so desensitized to violence, like
Yeah.
the imagery and everything is horrendous, but I really didn't feel any kind of way about it. So maybe that was the point. I don't know. It was just okay. What I did enjoy though was Netflix's Rebel Ridge, and this starred Aaron Pierre. He's a UK import. And while the trailer sort of issued that it was sort of like a Death Wish Rambo action thriller, it was more of a legal action thriller with some restraint. Basic premise is Aaron Pierre's Terry Richmond encounters police in a southern town as he's going to bail his cousin out of jail, because if his cousin is taken to the maximum security prison, his life will be in danger because of information he holds, basically.
Oh, okay.
But he's stopped by police on some trump up charges, and they confiscate the cash he was going to use to bail his cousin out and all those things. So it really becomes a story about him trying to legally evade these corrupt cops and what they're doing, and it leads to a larger scheme going on. It's very methodical, very cerebral, which I wasn't expecting, but very good. Some folks felt tricked that they were going to get a Rambo type movie, but in reality, no black man can just go Rambo on the police and survive. So Pierre's character is actually very skilled in what he does and his approach. And I enjoyed it. I guess folks really wanted him to kill Don Johnson immediately. It's like this. Y'all remember Chris Dorner? Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Right.
In America. But yeah, it was a really good film. I really enjoyed it. So
yeah, I have to go back and check it out. Yeah, because once I saw the trailer, I don't think I really got Rambo from the trailer, but I thought from the trailer, I can see where this is going. So maybe I'll check it out and see it for myself.
Yeah, they did a great job with telling you just enough in the trailer and then sort of subverting your expectations.
Okay. All right. Well, for me, I checked out a show on Netflix, and that was Worst Ex Ever. And this is from the same people that did the 2 previous seasons of Worst Roommate Ever. And it's just as it sounds, like it's these really captivating, traumatizing stories of these people dealing with their exes. And these were absolutely just like batshit. Like you had, most of them were women dealing with men. So you had one where this woman kind of finds out that the guy that she's dating has this horrible dating history of him like abusing women and different stuff, and then um, literally a statewide police hunt ends up happening searching for him, and that's crazy. You have a woman whose boyfriend has lied about his identity, and once she finds that out, she breaks up, and then he starts tormenting her and all this different stuff. It's nuts. You have a custody battle, which is actually an interesting one because it's flipped in a way. It's a woman tormenting a guy, and it's the woman and her mother kind of harassing this guy,
wow.
and he ends up getting tased. Crazy story. Right. It's nuts. I'm telling you just enough, but you have to watch them, and then another one where a woman has a controlling partner. But yeah, and like we kind of said before, it's easy to judge situations when you're not in them, but you watch this, and from our seat at home, you see
Yeah.
little red flags pop up. But if you're in love with somebody, you may just see these are weird little things they have. But yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. I don't. Yeah, they put these shows together. Makes you not want a roommate. Makes you not want to fall in love. Jesus Christ, they're good at what they do.
Yeah. Yeah. You don't know, again, you don't know what you're going to do unless you're in the situation.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. And then what we're currently watching, I'll start from the back and move up. The second season of The Old Man is on FX.
Oh, yeah.
Thursdays at 10 p.m. They did a 2-episode premiere. I was like, 2 episodes at 10 p.m. It's not going to work with commercials.
No.
So I had to go back and rewatch episode 1. I still need to watch episode 2. But it's a very excellent show. General synopsis: Jeff Bridges plays a retired agent who is thrown back into the game after his daughter. People basically come after him, and it's because of his daughter's real identity. This season, he and John Lithgow, who were former colleagues, then adversaries or kind of frenemies, pair up to go to the Middle East to track down this alleged terrorist and find his daughter.
Right.
So it's very good.
Yeah, I saw the preview while watching something on Hulu, I believe, or I can't remember what I was watching, but I was like, yeah, I need to check that out. I need to get into that. So
yeah, it's really good. And then How to Die Alone is a new
Yes.
series from the Onyx Collective on Hulu, created and produced and starring Natasha Rothwell of Insecure and White Lotus fame. I was expecting sort of like the Insecure laugh out loud moments,
yeah,
but this is a much more sort of subtle humor, but it's a lot darker than Insecure. Rothwell plays Melissa Jackson, who works at an airport. She's a people person. She transports like disabled passengers and things like that to and from different exits and things like that. But she's
Yeah.
afraid to fly, literally and figuratively. So she's kind of stuck in her life right now. Her ex works there and he's about to get married and it's a destination wedding. She's stuck in her sort of job. She's single. She doesn't really have any friends. And as the story unfolds, you understand sort of her past decisions and how she's wound up here. So one day she literally dies for 3 minutes. And after waking up, she realizes that she's not living. She's just existing. So this is her path to sort of free herself from that sort of bondage and thinking. It's really good.
Yeah, I've seen that, so I'll have to check that out.
Yeah. I think they're be releasing like 2. They released 4 episodes last Thursday. So I don't know how many they release each week, but they've been really good. It also stars Conrad from How to Get Away with Murder. I always forget his last name. He was also in that gay like adaptation of Pride and Prejudice.
Yeah. I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, you know when you see him. But he plays her best friend.
Conrad Ricamora.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's in there.
Fire Island.
Yes, Fire Island. The cast is really good. Everyone's very attractive. Very attractive.
Well.
And then, are you caught up on Industry?
A little bit. I finally finished the second season, and I'm on episode 2 of
This
the
season?
first one. Yes.
Okay. So I'm not going to say much at all so I don't spoil it for you. But these past 2 episodes,
Yeah.
actually since episode 5, they've been on one, okay?
Okay.
Like zenith, like 0 to 100. This past episode, we already know the relationship between Harper and Yasmin has always been sort of like mean girlish. Like they really care
Yeah.
for each other, but since they care for each other so much, they know each other's secrets and weak points.
Right.
So it gets very messy.
Ooh.
Very messy. So yeah, this latest episode took a turn that I was not expecting, especially in Yasmin's position.
Yeah.
And some other developments have arisen that can threaten a lot of stuff going on. So there's only 2 episodes left, and these next 2 episodes will premiere on Max at 9 p.m. But on HBO proper, they'll premiere at 10 because HBO is airing the first 2 episodes of The Penguin at 9 p.m.
Oh
on the
yeah.
22nd and 29th. Because I think they're trying to get that Max and linear viewership
Right.
for The Penguin. So yeah, definitely get caught up before the season finale.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's all I watch.
Okay. Well, for me, I've been watching on HBO as well. My Brilliant Friend. This is like I said, the adaptation of the Alana Ferrante novels. And so far, so good. Like I said, I've said this multiple times every time I talk about the show. I wish this show would be much bigger if it were, one, in English, and two, if it had not come out at the same time as Succession, because I think Succession knocked out the interest. But there is a
Yeah.
devoted fan base, and I am right at the top of that fan base. But oh my god, it's so good. It's the language, it's the setting, it's just the drama, and it's a story about friendship and the roller coasters that friendship happened through childhood and uh, college and marriage and all these different things. And there's so much going on that's hard to really give a pinpoint thing of just where these women stand. But for anybody looking for a new show, you can find all 4 seasons on HBO, and I think it would be well worth your time.
Gotcha. I might revisit because I'm really trying to dip into the foreign series because their
Um,
stories are so much more enriching.
right.
Like
I think
everyone. Oh, go ahead.
no, and yeah, and I think we talked about this before because we talked about Korean shows, and I think what it is I'm trying to. I don't think the other countries. How do I say this? They don't think less of their people. I feel like producers here in America think we're stupid, and some of us maybe, or we have a short attention span. And
Right.
so in these other countries, Italy, France, even the UK is better at it. They give these full, beautiful stories. Where here we get Sally went here, Sally did this, Sally got her heart broken. End of the story. It's like what? Like
Yeah. I feel like Western media is very. There's of course prestige TV,
right,
but that's
right.
literally like 25%, and the rest
Yes,
is junk.
yes,
And these other countries, one, because they may have fewer resources, are
it's true.
very particular with what they make. So it's
Yeah,
quality over quantity.
absolutely.
Yeah, especially like you mentioned, the Korean dramas like Pachinko, for instance, on Apple TV,
Yeah,
or just even Shogun. Like, you have to do better, especially when you're writing in English to translate back to Japanese
exactly.
to then
Yeah,
translate again to English for viewers, or Pachinko, where
right,
you're speaking both Korean and Japanese and then translating. Like, your
yeah. It's a
story
lot.
has to hold up. Like, it has
Right,
to be
exactly.
more than just like I just don't know how to explain it.
Right, right.
But yeah, I definitely want to get into that. And I started a while ago, started that show Spy and Master, I think.
Oh yeah, I know
um,
you're talking about. Yeah.
about like the Cold War or spies
Right.
during that time or whatever. And I started like the first two episodes. It's really good. It's slow, but it's like an espionage thriller,
Yeah.
and it's great. But no one's gonna hear about it because it's like
Exactly.
a random series at the bottom of Max's totem pole.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, so coming up for the next 2 weeks, the biggest show's coming. Of course, Disney Plus's Agatha All Along
Yes.
premieres on Wednesday, the 18th. By the time you're hearing this, it's getting a primetime premiere at 9 p.m.
Yeah.
for the first two episodes. I'm hearing the reviews are great so far. The cast is very stacked and colorful. Um, so I'm expecting a good time there. And then we both have HBO's The Penguin on our
Penguin.
list.
Yeah.
It premieres the next day on Thursday at 9 p.m. on Max. So um, if you're a fan of Batman, this is sort of like a quasi sequel
Right.
intermediate offering before the Batman 2 comes from Matt Reeves.
I'm just extremely intrigued about how this is going to go, just because of how I guess how we've always seen the Penguin through the
Mm-hmm.
Batman stories, and now this. And but I mean, the cast looks great. We know Colin Farrell can do just about anything.
Right.
So yeah, I've got high hopes, and I think they'll live up to it.
Yeah, because all our previous depictions of the Penguin, nay Gotham on Fox, has been sort of like the animal looking sort
Right? Yeah,
of
nasty.
mobster.
He's like a creature almost. Yeah.
Right, right. And a lot of that has to do with Tim Burton's depiction
Yeah, this is very true.
of the character played by Danny DeVito. But here we have an actual realized person, and we're supposed to be following his climb atop the uh, crime wars in Gotham after the
Yeah.
fall of Carmine Falcone, and going head to head with his daughter, who's being played by Christy Mulatto or
Yeah.
Kristen something like that. Um, so yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, I
We've
think it'll be good.
been anticipating this since it was announced, so we'll see how that goes.
And then one more kind of a special mention. I doubt I'll stay around for it, but The Grotesquerie by Ryan Murphy on FX. I
Yeah.
I know I'm going to complain about it, but I'll probably watch the first episode just to see what it's about. And I think that's the 25th, so that's next week. So
Okay.
uh,
Also, the 17th is this American Sports Story
yeah, yeah,
on
that's
Aaron
right.
Hernandez, which is not getting great reviews simply
Yeah,
because what is what else is there to tell? The documentary
yeah,
was excellent.
right.
He's deceased. Like, we
It's
didn't really
no,
need this. Plus, the casting is not that great. That gentleman does not look like Aaron Hernandez.
and I think another thing that's hurting it is as good as Aaron Hernandez was at football, and he was great at football. He wasn't a personality. This isn't a story like if we were
Mm-mm.
getting something about Tom Brady. That would be crazy. But we didn't know anything about Aaron Hernandez other than he could catch and then he murdered somebody. That was pretty
Right.
much it. Yeah.
Right. He was a great football player, but he wasn't in commercials.
Right.
He wasn't. So it's not like a Jekyll Hyde thing.
No. Right.
There's not much else to grasp at story wise.
Right.
I was going to say something else. The casting doesn't look that great. And shoot. I forget the thought I was going to have about that. Um, but yeah, also his second season of Monsters is also coming, which I don't think I'll be watching either.
No.
About the Mendez brothers, because one, the advert had them both bare chested and embracing each other. It's like, okay, what are we saying, Ryan?
Yeah. They need to take money away from him. He just keeps making stuff and it's not good anymore.
He has that coming, Grotesquerie, Monsters, and his Doctor Odyssey on ABC,
Yeah. It's
which
too much.
are two separate things. And he's already announced. I know he's already announced season 3 of Monsters, which will star Charlie Hunman. How do you say his last name?
Yeah.
Hunman?
Hunman, I believe. Yeah.
To play Ed Gein. Can we stop with the serial killers for once? calm down.
That's funny.
It's getting a little weird.
Yeah, it's a lot.
I don't know if I mentioned this last time, but FX's English teacher.
I think you may have mentioned you want to watch it, but I don't know how.
I watched the first 3 episodes because they dropped. It's really good.
Good.
It's created by the star who I forget his name. 1 second. Brian Jordan Alvarez. So he basically plays he plays an English teacher at a high school who is gay, and he's trying to institute more, woke policies, things like that nature. And it's sort of like a comedy about those changes.
Yeah.
The nuances on sort of like some of the ridiculousness of that thing in a high school setting. It's really good.
I'll have to check it out.
Enrico Colantoni's in it. He plays the principal, and then Langston Kerman, the comedian and actor.
Yeah,
he's in it in an interesting role as well. So,
because the Brian Jordan Alvarez, he wasn't Vine, but he was kind of like he kind of found himself or made a name for himself on YouTube, and that's where I remember him from. And like I would just share clips back and forth with my sister because we thought it was funny. So it's kind of been a long time coming for him.
Yeah. And there was some online chatter about how the show is stealing from Abbott Elementary. They're 2 totally different shows. They're just set in schools. That's literally it. For instance, one of the storylines is they want to they have the powder puff game where the girls play flag football and the players cheerlead, and the LGBTQ and 2+ binary group thinks the Powerpuff cheerleader thing is offensive, so Alvarez's character enlists a drag queen to make it more authentic. So they're not just cross-dressing or cosplaying or gay baiting or whatever. It like ridiculous stuff like that. But it's hilarious and very heartwarming as well. Very smart. So definitely get into that. It's really good.
Right. Okay.
And that is just it for this episode. We hope that you enjoyed this edition of It's a Stream of Life podcast. We will see you in a few weeks to discuss our thoughts on Agatha All Along and the Penguin and whatever else comes out. Until then, keep on streaming.
Peace.